You will get a photo that's edited with like this. Your job is to just simply make it look painted by going over it with roughly the same colors. And a similar texture, but just kind of paint over everything. Sort of a cheat way to create backgrounds. After you're done, I will check it and I will do a quality check and then we will wrap it up. This one has a building, so it's a little bit more complicated. When you read the building itself, there's some edges, like the defining edges of the items that you cannot touch. So try to work around the edges. Getting it a little blurry is fine. We want it to lose that photograph look. It's okay to leave a little bit of the paintbrush in there. That's what we want. Oops. Definitely feel free to make certain spots a little more rough, darker, um, relative to the same colors. Yeah, add a little bit of your artistic input, but generally keeping the same color will create a pretty believable look because they were already working. We just make it a little bit more vibrant than real life. All those little edges that's created by Photoshop and filters, we get rid of them. They don't look natural, they don't look too formulative. So yeah. When it's near dark, just keep using the dropper tool to just sample the colors nearby. It's really a no-brainer. These are flowers. To make it a good painting, I will try to spread some of the colors that is in one area around it, um, around a different area as long as it's the same subject. It actually you could spread it to different subject too, just to balance out the colors. Like I spread And this blue, I'm gonna spread this blue green around the top in the shadow area for the tree, the bushes. I'm gonna spread this around this green, so it's not just concentrated in one area. It feels more together instead of puzzle pieces. This is where the artistic license come in. So it's not just a photograph that's edited. Well, it is a photograph that's edited, but we're gonna make it artistic, so it doesn't feel like one. Doesn't take that much brain, so you can probably do it chatting with friends, listen to an audiobook, something like that. It's really relaxing to do this. Now I'm spreading some of the colors from the top to the bottom, so they're mixing up a little. Now going toward this area. This area looks kind of dreamy, so I'm just going to touch up very little bit. Keep that dreamy quality. Right now I am getting to the grass area, and for grass you don't have to paint it all evenly. That's one of the amateur mistakes, very common. So instead handling the grass kind of like sprinkle, do a sprinkle of grass texture or strokes, and spread them out a little bit so it's easy on the eye. Our eyes really don't like having something that's way too um, solid pattern, like if something that looks very formulative, our eyes just go like, boring, and it picks it up right away. We are very designed to pick up patterns. So to make a painting interesting or something visually exciting, we try to make it some sort of not like a kind of a loose pattern. Like we like to seek for a pattern, but we don't like it rigid. That's normally what paintings aim to do. We give it resting spots, like for example, some area that's like big areas. Those are resting spots, like very wide negative space. Those are a resting spot for the eyes, and then there's the high contrast area. Those are the exciting spot for the eyes. And in order for you to create something interesting and exciting, you need a good balance of both. What is the golden ratio on that? I'm not too sure yet. When I figure out, I'll let you know. But every painting, the eyes need somewhere to rest and somewhere to look at. And for a good painting, is that you have to allow the eyes to just keep traveling over and over again, and keep your eyes within the painting and not get tired of it. That's ideally, in theory, what makes a good painting. And so that's why we spread different colors out all over the place. Um, and that's why we balance out details with not with blurriness. You need some sort of edges, like some solid edges. Sometimes I will use solid brush. You need solid edges to convince the eyes that there is some contrast, there is something interesting to look at. At the same time, you want somewhere that is soft so the eyes can go, ah, I can rest here, like that. Um, that generally make people's eyes happy. You know, as artists, we do things to make our eyes happy, to make people's eyes happy. That's what called visually entertaining. Okay, I will continue and something about getting rid of like little floating spots. Photos tend to do that. So after you edit a photograph, it tends to happen. Like there's little floating spots. You want to make them look hand painted, not photographed. So I will put spots over back in again. And generally, I just go over some spots, make it look the hand has touched it. And usually, our audience will buy that. But it's still really easy. It's easy on the artist. That's why we don't consider this great art, but efficient art it is. It's efficient. This is one of the more efficient process to keep budget low, and that's why I'm using it. And sometimes you want to pen back in the brighter colors. Now you can like make the colors a little less even. It's fine. People appreciate the slight roughness in the painting usually. Usually in paintings, you will spot areas that have black. Um, from photographs, you will spot areas that have black colors in it. You do not want black. So what I would do is I would take another area where it's really dark color and just paint over it, or just take the slightly darker color and just make it darker, make it kind of look like black but not black. Usually, I mean, there's some styles that can use black, but we're not aiming for that right now. Usually, if you do black, it doesn't feel very traditional. It just feels comic-y. So it's kind of like a black is sort of kind of a comic thing. It's recognized as a comic style type of thing. So unless we're aiming for that, we don't want to use black. You can also get rid of some of the details that comes with a photograph but doesn't make much sense to you. If anything doesn't read, pretty much just get rid of it. The photo, we don't need that for the final painting. And sometimes after photo filter, some details do get lost. I might paint those back in if you know what that part is about. But if you don't, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I think this is the attic area. I'm just gonna paint an attic. This shape over here is actually quite good, so I'm gonna keep most of it. How would I do a little bit of painting? Okay, now I am painting. Oops, hold on. Now I'm painting this part of the painting, and I have to say I don't really quite like how this thing looks like here. It looks like a dead branch almost, and it's kind of an eyesore. So I decided I'm gonna take that out, and you can do that too. Um, when you are editing a photo, you are the artist still, and you're calling the shots on what is staying, what is going. And I'm adding some low light spots over here. To painting this over. I'm gonna paint this over, turn it into grass, because I really don't like how that looks. There's a walkway, so remember to get that walkway in. And for grass blades, I just use solid brush for that. Better, more convincing. And to get rid of these even filter leftover texture. And make this look a little bit more like a walkway. Importing some colors from there. There we go. Now I'm just doing the manual labor of adjusting the grass. Just kind of have to break down that even texture generated from the filter, just to make it look more natural. Almost there. There is another few things that I forgot to mention. This painting is all about edges, and you want, for the things you want people to look at, you want the edges to have more contrast. And for the things that are further away that you want to hide or you don't want it to stand out, you want to give it soft edges so people won't look at that first. The trick of creating a good painting is creating a rhythm between the hard and the good and the soft edges, the bright contrast and the soft contrast, and the low contrast colors. And and there's really no set way to arrange all that. That's where the art comes in. And I guess in a way is how I would do it. How I would think of it is um, something that's hard, hard, soft like that, and just keep switching up, keeping a variety, and while still maintaining having a focal point that people can always come back to is the essential part of the painting.